Welcome back to Live, Laugh, Lore. I am Emily, your co-host for this podcast.
I'm Caroline, the other co-host for this podcast. I almost said I'm Caroline, the other podcast.
The other podcast. Yes.
The other podcaster.
One of these days we'll get it down.
We were chatting before this, and I asked Emily, what creature, real or mythical, does she feel like today? So why don't you share that with us?
So when I was thinking about it, I thought maybe I'll mix it up because I usually have one answer to this question.
You do.
At all times. And I hate to tell you, I'm not going to mix it up because I feel like this more than ever right now. And that is a siren, essentially.
Oh, girl, I was going to say something.
Did you think I was going to say banshee?
Yeah.
Okay, I do flip-flop between those two, and I did struggle between the two. The difference today is a siren actually drowns people. There is some vengeance involved, whereas a banshee is just screaming, you know?
Okay.
For the listeners here, I got an eviction notice on my door that is meant for my neighbor and had to deal with that right when I got home today, sending proof as to why it was not meant for me. So yes, siren I feel is appropriate.
But the good news is you're not getting evicted.
I am not getting evicted. Yes, that is confirmed.
I was like, why? Yeah. I was like, did you not pay rent?
No, I was.
Okay, well,
what about you?
She wants to drown someone.
I want to drown someone.
It's a mix between a slug or like you know when they put the brains in the jars and they're just soaking in formaldehyde,
like the newts that we saw at the museum.
Yeah, but I don't feel like a whole newt.
Okay,
like I feel like a limb or just a piece of a. Like when you step on a slug and just squish it between your toes, that's where I am mentally at this moment in time.
Wow. Are we okay? I don't think we are. Okay, we don't have to go into that. But we should shout out that museum because it was amazing. And you need to
Raleigh Natural Science Museum, best museum.
It was great.
Favorite museum growing up. Even better now. I dragged her to it after a wedding and we were violently hungover, but
it was truly the best day.
They had whale skeletons.
Yes. But in this lab, I've never seen anything like it where you get to go and touch actual real specimens, like the newts in the jars. You don't get to touch the newt in the jar.
We touched a dead rat.
We touched a dead rat. Carried it even.
That was cool.
Right.
Lots
Skeletons.
of dead birds.
Lots of dead birds, yes. Lots of rocks, which I loved. Rocks. Drawers upon drawers of butterflies.
What is what's the thing that's like a newt?
Salamander.
It has the fun name. Lotus.
Axolotl.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're pretty cute. I saw a real one once. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought for the longest time that they were like a mythical creature. And then I saw
one until we saw it in the jar, and I was like, I thought this was. Is it a Pokemon?
Maybe it might be. Maybe that's why.
Like
but it looks like one. I mean, I saw one in a restaurant in Mexico City, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And the guy working there was like, "Axolotl."
It's an axolotl.
It's like, you're joking.
But I've seen some strange things in Charleston.
That was very ominous. Yeah.
I saw something that I thought was, I don't know what it was, but it at my old apartment, because it was by like water, so there was always creatures. And I walked into the stairwell one day and there was an amphibian or something, or I don't know, but it was transparent. And then it just scurried up the wall and disappeared. And I was like, it was like a frog, but it was literally transparent. I've never seen anything like this.
That's so weird.
I'll never know.
That's so weird.
I don't live there anymore.
Once when I was a kid, and I think this might have been a fever dream, but it is very vivid in my brain. In California, and I don't remember what beach, but it was a beach. There was this like, what is it called? Like the little tide pools.
Yeah.
You know, when when the tide goes out. Anyways, and it was really rocky. We climbed out onto these rocks, poking around all the little tidal pools. It was very cool, little starfishes and stuff like that. And then I look into one, and there's this bright orange, huge eyeball looking thing. And so I go in and I poke it, and it blinks and then goes away. Like,
What? How big
yeah,
was it?
it was like that big. And
No
it
way.
is so vivid in my mind. I remember scraping my knee because I ran back to my grandma screaming and fucked up my knee in the process. And she was like, no.
I got a pufferfish carcass stuck on my foot one time
Oh, that's violent.
in the
For the
ocean. I was
pufferfish?
swimming by the pier, which you should never do ever,
Why?
because people fish off the pier. So there's like
Oh.
hooks and shit.
Mm.
And there's lines, and also there's chum, so there's sharks.
Yeah.
AKA the chum that got stuck to my foot. I picked my foot out of the water, and I saw, and I don't know if it was a pufferfish, but it looked like that. But it was just, this is my foot. This was the thing.
Oh my
So
God.
bad.
Oh my God. Well,
The murky waters of North Carolina.
mhm. You know, I started listening to a podcast recently that I love. It's called Tooth and Claw. They
Mhm.
don't know who we are at all, but they talk a lot about sharks and shark attacks. And I am so glad I did not know about that podcast when I lived in Charleston, because I never would have stepped foot in the water ever.
Oh, so I shouldn't listen
You
to
probably
it?
shouldn't. No, you would love it. It's great, but
Not before I go snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, right?
no. You actually
After.
no, you'll be fine. It mostly talks about stuff like that, where it's like avoid murky water, avoid certain times of the day.
Oh.
Like, what are the warning signs? Essentially,
Oh, well, I mean, like, I know that.
yeah,
You know.
it can always happen. Like, there's always a chance
Well, yeah,
whenever you
you're in
step
their
foot in the water
area.
that something's gonna get you. But those are the warnings. Anyways, I've learned a lot, and my favorite shark is a mako shark, which I
Cool.
learned from that podcast. Really like.
I am hoping to see reef sharks and black tip sharks. I have seen many nurse sharks, and I've petted a nurse shark before.
That's very cool.
But I'm hoping to see a black tip and a reef shark. No tiger.
I'm so jealous that you were going. Yeah,
No
tiger
tiger.
sharks can keep a distance.
Because other sharks might bite you. A
Mhm.
tiger shark probably will.
Dang. Yeah.
I'll listen.
Yeah.
I have heard good things. I mean, you've talked about that podcast a lot, and I've been meaning to listen to it. But
Yeah.
I'm currently since we're going through the election,
Mm.
I'm currently hyper fixating on politics. So
It's hard not
higher
to.
learning, Pod Save America has been my go-to
Yes.
while we get moved through this.
Yeah.
So.
Even more reason to want to be a woman of the sea.
Podcast?
No, there's no politics
Oh.
there. You can't control my body. I'm in the ocean. Good luck.
You can't. You can't govern me.
Yeah, you cannot tell me what to do. I have all my rights in the ocean.
There's probably a shirt that says that. It's like, you can't govern me. I belong to the sea.
Anyways, should we actually do what we're supposed to do?
Yeah, speaking of nothing related to,
It's a great segue.
we did bring up childhood.
Yes.
Which is a great segue into our topics today.
Yeah.
Which is nursery rhymes.
Woo! Yay!
I was going to start to sing one, but then.
I mean, you're welcome to sing all of them if you'd like today. Carolyn and I are going to each give a background of 5 different popular nursery rhymes, and specifically talk about maybe some of the darker history or origins behind said nursery rhymes. It made me realize I didn't actually know what I was saying when I was singing these nursery rhymes as a kid. So I think because this is our 3rd episode, I will go first. My 5 nursery rhymes that I'll go through in order are Pop Goes the Weasel, Rockabye Baby, Jack and Jill Went Up the Hill, Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, and 3 Blind Mice. Have you heard of these, Caroline?
I've not heard a single one.
Oh my goodness, great.
I know.
Fantastic.
I'm cultured.
Yes. So Pop Goes the Weasel. It's the first one we're going to go over. It's really popular with ice cream trucks. So that's maybe where everybody hears
Oh, I
it.
guess it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one. A lot of it sounds kind of like nonsensical and made up. A lot of the words make no sense. That is because a lot of it is Cockney slang from England, from about 19th century London. And so I'll go over what the lyrics are, at least for the first 3 verses. There's like 5 or 6 verses in this one. And so we're
Oh,
just going over the first 3. The first one, half a pound of tuppenny rice, half a pound of treacle. That's the way the money goes. Pop goes the weasel. Up and down the city road, in and out the eagle. That's the way the money goes. Pop goes the weasel. Every night when I go out, the monkey's on the table. Take a stick and knock it off. Pop goes the weasel. Fun.
Pep
Right.
goes the weasel.
Beautiful. Thank you. So in the first verse, tuppenny rice and treacle were essentially the cheapest foods for the impoverished people of London. The term pop, which is repeated throughout the entire rhyme, was slang for pawning something, like going to a pawn shop and selling it. Weasel is believed to refer to a coat in Cockney rhyming slang. So when you say pop goes the weasel, you're really talking about struggling to make ends meet. So you're selling your coat to the pawn shop. Yeah. So, and you'll kind of get a theme of that throughout this entire thing. It's about a lot of poverty happening during this time.
Yeah.
The next verse is the one that talks about the eagle on City Road. And this is a real place. This is referring to the Eagle Tavern on City Road. It's a famous pub where many people would spend their last coins, which would lead to a desperate trip to the pawn shop. So again, pop goes the weasel, spending all their money on booze at the Eagle. One fun fact, the Eagle is still an operational pub in London today. And there's a plaque outside with the lyrics to this rhyme, which I thought was very cute. Very sweet. And then the last verse, at least the last verse that we're going to be talking about, every night when I go out, the monkey's on the table. The monkey is slang for drinking, essentially. Sailors would call glazed jugs that were used in the public houses a monkey. And then take a stick and knock it off. The stick was a shot of some kind, usually rum or brandy. And to knock it off, you can probably guess what that means, to drink said shot. And once again, pop goes the weasel, you're selling another coat. So you have to have at least 3 coats here.
It kind of sounds like a fun drinking song.
Exactly.
Like, pop goes the weasel.
Yeah.
Just like, kind of sounds like, fuck it.
Exactly.
Weasel,
we're broke.
Baby.
Let's just drink. One day closer to death, baby.
Kind of
sad, but also kind of like, you know, they made a fun little rhyme about it. So definitely not the darkest of the rhymes that we'll go over.
Winter and yeah.
Yep. Plop it right back down.
Pop goes the weasel.
Pop goes the weasel. Pop goes Edna. The next one, Rockabye Baby. So there's a couple different theories for this one. This one is a lullaby, a very common lullaby that was first printed in Mother Goose's Melody in London, 1765. Quite a while ago.
Yes.
And the lyrics for this are Rockabye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Down tumbles baby, cradle and all. It's a little dark.
I mean,
just in and
I
of
don't
itself.
know the background, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that sounds pretty bad.
It's not great. Yeah. I don't know any baby that survived falling out of a tree.
Have you ever dropped a baby?
Fuck you.
She's never dropped a
baby. God damn it. Okay. Let me explain myself a little bit. I did not drop said baby. Okay. Rewind. I was babysitting last weekend for one of my close friends, and she has a beautiful baby boy, he's a year and a half, and he has learned the ability to run and jump and climb and essentially just like put himself in very precarious situations very, very quickly. And so I was babysitting him. Everything was going great, having a great time. I'm changing his diaper on the changing table. And I make the mistake of turning around to put the diaper in the diaper genie. I turned for literally a second, maybe two, put it in the diaper genie. And as I'm doing that, I hear a thud behind me and then a blood curdling scream from this poor baby child. And he had somehow gotten himself upright and walked right off of the changing table. Initially, I was just making sure he was okay. Everything was fine. I was like checking his pupils to make sure he wasn't concussed and making sure nothing was broken.
You're like, let me turn on Grey's Anatomy and
Oh
just
my
diagnose.
God. I was Googling the fastest I've ever Googled. I called my mom and I was like, do I call her? My friend, do I interrupt her night? She was like, no, no, no. Everything's going to be fine. But ended up putting him to bed and continued to Google, which was a mistake. Should not have done that. So by the time my friend got home, I was crying, had been crying for
Yeah.
probably half an hour. And she laughed at me and she said, it's fine. Everything is fine. So that was lovely. I don't have kids of my own. I don't know how anybody does it. I would love kids of my own, but now I don't know if I'm emotionally strong enough to handle that.
I know I'm not. I
Ugh. Yeah.
I brought vomit to the vet the other day.
What? Why? Did they ask
Eleanor
for
was
that?
terminally. I thought I was poop. It was in the litter box.
Is that
And
why you
I thought-
texted me ominously?
Yeah, I'm not telling you.
Oh my God, no. You left me hanging.
I said, have you ever seen undigested food in your cat's poop?
That is what you said.
Straight kibble. And I called the vet and they were like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. There's kibble in the litter box. And I was like, it's in the shape of a poopy. It's not in the shape of vomit. And it's in the litter box. They said, okay, bring in a sample. We'll send it off. So I paid $60. And then they called me for like 2 hours later and they were like,
This is vomit.
this is vomit. And I was like,
Oh.
oh. They refunded me the $60. Anyway, she's fine.
Well, good.
Anyway, let's go back to the story. Emily has dropped a baby. I have dropped my cat.
I didn't drop the baby. If you say that one more time, I'm hanging
No,
up
I'm
the
sorry.
phone.
You didn't drop the baby dropped itself.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Or if you prefer the term fell.
Yes.
I
don't think you understand the emotional trauma that I am
I
still.
know.
Okay, so the lyrics, if you guys remember way back when I actually said the lyrics, it talks about a cradle that falls when the wind blows. Historians believe that this story relates back to a historical event, specifically about the Glorious Revolution and the royal lineage of King James II. The baby that they are referencing in this lullaby is supposedly the son of King James II, but is widely believed to be another man's child smuggled into the birthing room to ensure a Roman Catholic heir. You're going to see this a lot with the rhymes that I'm going to go over. A lot of weird religious royal English shenanigans happening. Once again, very similar to my Bloody Mary story a few episodes ago. The wind, supposedly in this version, would symbolize the Protestant forces, the evil Protestants, that threatened his reign, while the cradle represents the precarious state of the monarchy itself. I'm quoting that directly from Wikipedia. So, the drama. There is a lighter version of the story, which I actually like more, and it's about Davy Crockett and his sister, Effie Crockett. Effie was invited by the Muskogee tribe to go and help. Sorry, my mother is calling me. Mom.
Tell her you're busy.
Shout out to Mom. So his sister, Effie, was asked by the Muskogee tribe, specifically the mothers in the tribe, to help babysit one day. When she arrived in their camp, she saw all of these custom cradles, or what they called papooses, which was very cute, hanging among the branches of the birch trees with babies snuggled up inside of them. She thought this was hilarious, apparently. She thought it was very funny watching these babies essentially just swaying in trees. Once she figured out the meaning behind it, the reasoning behind it, she was like, oh, this is a pretty good idea. It kept them away from ground insects, from animals and also kept them shaded and naturally just kind of swaying in
What
the
did you
breeze.
say? It kept them away from what?
Ground insects, bugs.
Ground insect. All
Yes.
right.
All right. The next one, Jack and Jill went up the hill. Okay. So the lyrics to this, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. So,
So, can I tell you what me and my sister used to say?
yes.
Okay. We say Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a water. Because I don't think you can say fetch a pail. So fetch a pail.
Fetch a patch of water. I like it. I like it.
Yep.
You know, speaking of Wikipedia, we can just go in there and change the lyrics.
We should.
Right
You're
now.
right.
So similar to the last one, this one has a couple different theories as to where the origins came from. The first one that I thought was kind of interesting came from the French Revolution, specifically Marie Antoinette and her husband, King Louis, I think the 16th, if I'm reading new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool, great. They were famously executed by guillotine in 1793 during the Reign of Terror as part of the French Revolution. Jack and Jill went up the hill. The hill in that phrase is meant to represent the steps up to the guillotine. King Louis was the first to be beheaded and, in a sense, lost his crown. And then Jill, Marie Antoinette's head, came tumbling after. So that's the theory there. Another theory is about another king, King Charles I from England, where he attempted to manipulate taxes on alcohol in 17th century England. He decreed that the standard volume of a jack, which is approximately a quarter pint, that's what they called them. He said that that standard volume should be reduced, but the tax stay the same amount. So therefore, he is getting more money without actually raising taxes. Very sneaky, sneaky guy. The volume mark on the standard jack measure, like on the bottle itself, was a crown. And then Jill, in the original nursery rhyme, in the Mother Goose version, Jill was spelled Gill, which is pronounced Jill. But Gill was a standardized measure that was twice the volume of a jack. So therefore, if a jack is reduced, so is a Jill. So the same thought process, and Jill came tumbling after. If he reduced the volume of the jack, Jill also came down. It always comes down to booze, really, is what I'm noticing.
These people didn't have a lot to write about.
They really didn't. It was either beheading or booze or stolen babies. So, you know,
taxes.
Not a lot going on. Also, the pail of water is thought to symbolize the watered down ale that they would serve in pubs, which was a tactic used by the bar owners to keep their costs down because, again, they're having to pay more taxes now. So, yeah, very interesting. The worst one and also the least researched, I guess, or at least the one that had the least amount of information on it, is about an unmarried couple who met on the hill for their romantic tryst, their affairs. And the woman became pregnant, but the man died before the child was born. And then the woman died in childbirth. The end.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a fun one. You know, it's a good one. So Mary, Mary, quite contrary goes like this. Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With silver bells and cockle shells and pretty maids all in a row.
So that sounds a little dirty.
So it is.
Oh, okay.
Let me get to it. Yes, let me get to it. I'm glad you picked up on that. Yes. Also, a cockle shell, I looked it up. It's an actual shell. It's not anything dirty. Sure. At least that's what Google says. These interpretations say differently. So you picked up on the right thing. Some people believe that this rhyme refers to Queen Mary I or Bloody Mary, who was ultimately unable, if you remember, to reverse the religious changes made by her father. Her father made the Protestant Church of England, and she said, fuck no, This is going to be Catholic. I'm moving it back.
Yeah.
And she ultimately was not successful in that, but she caused a lot of problems along the way trying to make it happen. So the Mary, Mary, quite contrary phrase is supposedly referencing that whole debacle. Her garden supposedly also represents the graveyards that she filled with Protestant martyrs during her reign, with silver bells and cockle shells symbolizing instruments of torture that were used on male genitalia. Not only did she like to
Mary, a little bit of a
Mary,
freak.
so not only did she like to burn her men at the stake, she also liked to torture them beforehand.
She had a very specific kink.
She really did. She really did. Which
She
again,
was
daddy issues
OG
manifest
dumb.
themselves in weird ways, guys, but don't do this. This is too weird. Lastly, the reference, and this is kind of fucked up, reference to the pretty maids all in a row. Everything else was fine, but this is bad. Some say it could point to the guillotine, which did have a nickname, the Maiden, which some people think it's referencing her execution of Lady Jane Grey. But the most popular theory is that the pretty maids all in a row represent her many miscarriages. She was ultimately unable to have children, unable to produce an heir at the end of the day.
Aww.
Yes. Which is sad. She was going through a lot, you guys. I'm not defending her, but like rough times for Girly Pop. The second theory is that it could be linked to another Mary, Queen of Scots. In this version, how does your garden grow refers to her general reign over her realm. Silver bells referring to Catholic cathedral bells. Cockle shells insinuating that her husband was not faithful to her. And pretty maids all in the row referring to her ladies in waiting who are called the Four Marys. That one is not nearly as wild as our Bloody Mary version, but
I like the one about Mary Queen of Scots. Have you ever watched the movie about her?
I have not.
With Margot Robbie. Yeah, no, that is a really good like historical drama.
Yes.
Mary Queen of Scots.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. I do like those a lot.
That one, I feel like the Mary Queen of Scots one, it might be actually like the origin, but
How do you think that?
I just think it sounds more historically accurate. I think.
See,
Queen Mary the First sounds a little.
Either way,
yeah,
it's interesting because the rhyme was published in the mid 18th century. Mary, Queen of Scots, and Queen Mary the First, their reign of power was during the 16th century. So this was a ways away from each other. So who knows who it was about, really?
Who knows?
Up for interpretation.
Who knows how words are made?
I don't. Okay, the last one, Three Blind Mice. So this one, there was only one theory, and it was about, again, our girl, Bloody Mary. This first appeared in print in the 1600s, 1609 to be exact. And it goes a little something like this. Three blind mice, see how they run, see how they run. They all ran after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a sight in your life as three blind mice?
I feel like I knew it different. For sure.
What was your version?
I don't know.
I honestly,
it
I thought that too when I found this, but this was unanimously the version that I could find.
Definitely something about a clock. Wait, I'm Googling it.
Okay.
Clock. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock.
Okay, that's a totally different rhyme. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we figured that out.
But it's at least, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I could have sworn they ran up a clock.
Yeah, I remember mice even. Okay, so as playful as this sounds with mice getting their tails cut off, it is believed that this rhyme references three Protestant loyalists, often referred to as the Oxford Martyrs, who were burned at the stake under Queen Mary's the First reign. The rhyme symbolizes the men's, quote, blind loyalty to their faith amidst the perilous climate of the time. Yes. Yes. And this
Hmm.
one, there's a lot of stories and a lot of like
Hmm.
historical writings to back up this theory. So
Sounds familiar in a way,
it
but I just can't
sounds,
put my finger on it.
you know, Queen Mary the
Wow.
First, she was a popular gal. She made a lasting impression.
Mary was a popular gal,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
She was controversial,
Yeah. She was not well liked.
but she
Uh
wasn't a victim of cancel culture. And
yeah.
because she just kept going.
She just kept, are we supporting Queen Mary the First?
No, because she sounded like she actually was terrible.
She did have a lot of problems, yes, but
She sounded like she had a lot of issues.
she took girl bossing too far, dare I say.
Too close to the sun.
Too close to the sun.
If I may.
Icarus,
Nope.
cautionary tale. Anyways, those are our
This
first 5
is,
nursery rhymes.
and I
Hopefully,
will
you learned
take
something.
the next 5,
Lovely.
which are Ring Around the Rosie, London Bridge is Falling Down. Here we go, Around the Mulberry Bush,
Mm.
Ba Ba Black Sheep, and Humpty Dumpty. So Ring Around the Rosie was written by a man named James Fitzgerald. I don't have the exact year, but it was, it was old. The way that it was written was ring of roses, a pocket full of posies, a tissue, we all fall down. Now, I always sing it as ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, ashes, we all fall down.
Same. Yeah.
And so, like, the game is that you all sing and hold hands in a circle, and then you all fall down.
Yes.
And that was
And you
like the
run
most
around
fun.
in a circle, right?
Run around in a circle.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. And then
That's right.
drop to the ground.
But I remember, you're running around in a circle holding hands, but I think you try and like pull people down. I think that's what
I
we
mean,
did.
yeah, I did.
But like you would like, so
bring everyone
very
down with
cute.
you.
So James Fitzgerald claimed that without a doubt, this was about the Great Plague or the bubonic plague. And I think most people have probably heard this story. This is probably the most famous dark nursery rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of folklorists say that they don't believe this is true. They just said there's a lot of like inconsistencies or whatever. But the man who wrote it disagrees. So the plague was the Black Death or the Black Plague or the bubonic plague. It swept through Europe through the 14th to 17th centuries, and it killed almost somewhere between 75 to 200 million people, but we don't know. But somewhere in that range.
Big numbers. Yeah. It's a lot of
big numbers.
Yeah.
The symptoms included large black boils in the groin, neck, and armpits.
Yikes.
And the boils would bleed and pus if they were opened.
Mm.
Yum.
Why?
Some other symptoms.
So,
have you
I
had
don't
that?
know if we, no. No, I'm not.
It's a safe space.
This is a safe space. Yes. All of these strangers. No.
Thanks.
I'm sure you guys are great. Anyways, I love pimple popping videos. And so part of me thinks
this might be different.
No, I understand. But part of me would have maybe enjoyed it a little bit. Not enjoyed it. That's not the right word.
I don't know that I've ever seen a boil.
Oh, I have.
Where? On your groin, neck, or armpit?
No. 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 I've seen videos. Okay, you know what? I like to watch popping videos to go to sleep sometimes. And there are cysts and boils. And it's draining, essentially. Yeah.
That's big. Mm-hmm. That's like a pimple.
Mm-hmm. But big.
But it's
like you have to drain it into a bowl.
Yeah. Oh, sad. Okay.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying I think I would have been a great plague doctor. Put one of those like bird mask things on me and I'll walk around and I'll poke everybody's boils.
All right.
and then probably die 2 days later because I also
I like pimple popping, but the
the
boil sent me over the edge. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
okay.
Anyways,
Anyways, safe space.
I like blackheads the best and ingrown hairs.
Oh, my favorite are the ear pimples.
We are gross. We are
You know, one last thing I'll say about it. Girls in general, we are disgusting.
I am a gross girl. I'm aware. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's good. Yes. It
It
means we'll make really great bog witches when we're old.
I already am. So anyway, if you had one of those boils, you probably shouldn't have popped it because I'm pretty sure that's how that spread. So we would have been.
Okay. Where's the research on that?
I think it's probably a good amount. Okay. So the nursery rhyme refers to the red rings that starts to develop on the skin. These were circular and they developed into the large boils. So that was what that was.
So kind of like ringworm.
Yeah, I've had ringworm.
I have too.
I had it a couple times.
Yeah. Again, because I was being a gross girl as a child.
Yeah, I don't know what it was the second time, but I had 2 nurse friends tell me that they thought it was ringworm. And I was 22.
Oh. I was 5.
But like, I do sometimes like play in dirt.
Yeah, mine was from playing in a mud pit.
Same.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I played. My parents were like redoing the yard, and there was a big pile of dirt, and I played in it.
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Not play in a mud pit and make mud pies?
You make mud pies. That was the best part of being a kid. Was the mud
pies? Yes. I got goosebumps. We both said mud pies, and that was just really nice.
We both made mud pies and got ringworm.
It's so cute.
Maybe at the same exact time. We just didn't know each other. We were both putting on the antifungal cream at the same.
This is girlhood. Continue.
Anyway. Okay, so pocket full of posies. It was believed that the disease was spread through bad, stinky smells, which is interesting because I don't think that they showered back then. But
they dumped their shit out the window, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think sanitation was a thing at all. But because of this, people would hold bunches of flowers or flowers or plants to their face when they went out public to protect themselves from the smells, aka why they had the plague doctor with the long nose, so they can't get around the smells. But now we know that it just probably stopped the spread of germs.
I do want to add too, when I went to Barcelona, I did a walking tour and they walked us through the Jewish part of the city, or at least what used to be the Jewish part of the city. And they talked about the plague and how Barcelona, just like everywhere else in the world, was hit hard with the plague. But for some reason, some mysterious reason, the people within the Jewish community or the Jewish part of town, they were fine for the most part. Like they were doing great. And the reason was they were hygienic and they washed their hands.
Yes.
And yeah, people thought it was crazy.
The plague was spread by rats because of the fleas.
Yes.
And so I watched this show on Netflix about cats, and apparently during the plague, women had cats that would kill the rats, and they wouldn't get the plague because they weren't exposed to the fleas. And then logically, that meant they were witches. And that's why cats are associated with witches.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if JD Vance lived in the plague times?
Yeah.
Those childless cat ladies.
Which
burn them.
Burn.
Let's move on.
Is Bring Around the Rosie essentially, very cute, fun game for kids to play, but it is about death.
Good. Great.
And one of probably the worst plagues to ever plague humanity. So my next story is called London Bridge is falling down. And honestly, it was probably because London Bridge did fall down a lot. So the song goes, London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Off to prison you must go, you must go, you must go. Off to prison you must go, my fair lady. And
Beautiful.
the song was first published in 1850, but we believe that it dates back to the medieval era and maybe even before that. Until the middle of the 18th century, the London Bridge was the only way to cross the Thames River. And I think the London Bridge has been there for quite some time, way before then. But the bridge was damaged multiple times in a fire once in 1633 and then escaped damage again in 1666. It had very narrow arches, which caused heavy traffic in the river. So they tried to widen it in 1763, but it still needed constant repairs. It fell apart all the time. It was replaced in 1831 and then again in 1972. And fun fact, the bridge that was taken apart in 1831 was reconstructed in Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
Havasu.
Thank you.
Lake Havasu.
Havasu
I did not
City.
know that. That's so interesting.
Oh
my
yeah.
God. I
Is
went
that
there
close
for,
to
yeah, it's
Vegas?
very close.
Oh, really?
Mhm. I went there for spring break one year, and that was,
Oh.
yeah, I went there on spring break during college and with a fraternity and stepped in vomit and hooked up with a guy in a tent. So good choices were made.
With the vomit on your foot?
I do think that that happened after the vomit, yeah.
Sometimes you just don't care.
Sometimes, yeah. And I danced on a table, a picnic table. Really classy things happen at Lake Havasu. Great.
Well, they also have the London Bridge. So anyway.
Well, that's good to know.
So the game that goes along with the song is that two children line up face to face with their arms in the air, hands held together, arches, and then children run underneath while the rhyme is sung. And at some point, the two children pull their arms down and trap one of the kids. Very scary stuff.
Very fun.
So the true meaning of the song isn't really known, but some people say it could be like a metaphor for either death or like the eventual decay of society. And if the London Bridge can fall, anything can fall.
Well, the London Bridge was poorly engineered. So,
well, you know what? At the time, it was very important. And that, like, all they knew was all they knew. And it, they thought it was a strong.
That's a beautiful sentiment. All they knew was all they knew.
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully said.
It really was.
Love that.
I am a philosophist. Okay, so the original song was from the Norse epic Hemsringla.
Beautiful.
Which is about the Viking king Olaf II. Olaf.
Olaf.
I like warm hugs. But he destroyed the London Bridge in like 1012 or something like that.
He did not get enough warm hugs.
I don't think he had any.
Olaf.
And that one goes, London Bridge is broken down, gold is won, and bright renown, shields resounding, horns sounding, hills shouting in the din, arrows singing, mail coats ringing, Odin makes our Olaf win.
I mean, okay, I know we talked about like something being very metal.
That is
Let me just say, I'm proud to be
Hilda shouting in the din.
That's metal. That is very metal.
Also, it reminded me of Valhalla, Odyssey, or not Odyssey, sorry, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So some also think that the nursery rhyme, this is where it gets dark. They think that the nursery rhyme is about burying children alive at the base of the bridge. There was once a myth It said a bridge would collapse unless there was a body of a human sacrifice buried at the foundation of the bridge.
You know,
So
that was actually engineering 101. My very first class that I took, they said, you do have to kill someone. And I said, got it. So,
but people say that this isn't true. There's no evidence that any human remains were buried at the base of the bridge, but they did find some in 2007, but said that wasn't from when the bridge was originally built. They were just there. I will say I've seen many a TikToks of people on the River Thames who have found bones. So who is the fair lady? It's not what's her name?
Queen Mary.
God.
Are you talking about My Fair Lady, Audrey Hepburn? Is that who you're talking about? That is one of my favorite musicals and favorite
Thank
movies.
you for getting me there because I
Yes.
was like, I didn't. So it wasn't Audrey Hepburn, but some say it was the Virgin Mary, and thought that when the Vikings attacked, they were able to destroy the bridge, but not the city because the city was protected by Mary. So yeah,
that's cute. That's nice.
Yeah, so that's London Bridge is falling down. And then years later, Fergie remastered it. The next one is Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush. And when we were kids, we would hold hands and dance in a circle and sing. And it went, here we go round the mulberry bush, the mulberry bush, the mulberry bush. Here we go round the mulberry bush on a cold and frosty morning. This is the way we wash our face, wash our face, wash our face. That's the way we wash our face on a cold and frosty morning. It was first recorded by a man named James Hallowell. And the song and dance are traditional to England, but there's different versions in Scandinavia and the Netherlands. But the theory, the lore behind the song is that a prison governor at a prison in West Yorkshire, England, suggested that it was about female prisoners who would exercise at the yard, and there was a mulberry tree that grew in the yard, and the women inmates would dance around it and sing the song.
That's nice.
It's kind of sad. Yeah. Apparently also they had to give birth at the prisons, and their children stayed with them. Oh. So the children would also sing the song.
Well, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, the tree died in 2010.
Oh. That is sad. That reminds me though of the one and only time that I've ever been to Boise, Idaho. And I went to an old penitentiary there that is now a museum. And it was, besides the Natural History Museum that we talked about, this is one of the best museums I have ever been to for different reasons, but also very immersive. The first part of the tour, you go in and you get to see the men's area of the prison, which was bleak, like exactly what you imagine it would be. And this is a very old penitentiary that is no longer functioning. It's just a museum. So you look at the solitary confinement and it's just a hole in the ground, essentially. And then you go to the women's side of the prison and it is beautiful. It's this open campus. There's no cells. It's just an open with a bunch of bunks and beds and craft tables. There's tea tables. They have their own plates and silverware and they can bake things. They have a garden. And they also posted images and descriptions of the prisoners that were there. Most of them killed their husbands. Get it.
Oh, so they were violent offenders.
They were, these women were not there for nothing. But, and so, most of it was they killed their husband for some reason or another. But it was this beautiful sunny, they had cats, they had bunnies, they had all of this stuff. And I'm like, I would have loved to be in prison in Boise, Idaho at this time. Sign me up. All I have to do is kill my husband. Done. And I get to bake. I get to bake and do puzzles and have cats. It's what I do now, but there I don't have to go to work.
I could stage a death.
Anyways, maybe that's why they no longer do it that way. But back when they thought that women were just innocent little lambs.
Being a woman has its perks sometimes.
And honestly, for the most part, the reasons behind why they killed their husbands, they had good reason.
Yeah, they hit them and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Hit them, stole from them, cheated on them multiple times. Yeah.
Mm.
That's not a reason for murder. For the government that is watching, the FBI agents out there, we don't condone that. But I did enjoy myself at that penitentiary.
Yeah, I think we need to be careful and make sure that we clarify that we don't condone killing your husband.
No. Leave your husband, for sure.
Leave him.
Don't.
Yeah, we have better options.
We have better options. Leave him in a way where you can take everything that he's ever had in his entire life. Ruin everything he's ever loved, but leave him.
Okay. I tried to save you, but we're back to where we were. Okay. So anyway, that is, here we go around the mulberry bush. The next one is Baba Black Sheep. Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for the master, 1 for the dame, 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane. This was first published in 1744, and it is sung to the tune of a French melody called Vous dirai mama, which means, oh, I shall tell you, mother.
Oh.
Also, some very similar to the tune of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Mm-hmm. So on the surface, it's just a cute little rhyme about 3 bags of wool, 1 for the master, 1 for the dame, and 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane. But it is believed that this alludes to a medieval wool tax that the man, King Edward I, demanded.
It's always a king.
Shepherds deliver a third of their wool to his estate. So there was also another law that the tax had to take another third of the wool. So that just left the shepherd with a third of the wool that they worked on. I'd be pretty mad. So that's pretty messed up, honestly. The man has always got his palm stretched. It seems like in early England, they had some wild taxes.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the whole reason why we left. That and religious persecution. But taxes were a big one. And we're still angry about taxes, apparently. So,
but they took 60%. 66%. Yeah. Anyways, Baba Black Sheep is a story of greed. Mm-hmm. Humpty Dumpty is no better. It's not about taxes, but it was written by a man named James William Eliot, who published in the English Nursery Rhymes in a volume called Mother Goose's Nursery Rhymes and Nursery Songs. So the story goes, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Some believed that Humpty Dumpty was modeled after King Richard III of England, who apparently had quite the humpback.
Oh, God.
So do I.
How
Don't
mean.
You worry, King Richard. They called me Quasimodo in high school. So I feel your pain. At least they didn't call me Humpty Dumpty.
Who called you this?
I had scoliosis. I got real bad scoliosis. And I look like a cooked shrimp.
I'm sorry. Did you say you had scoliosis?
I still do. I have really bad scoliosis. And I'm missing a lumbar, and I got a long neck.
Like the dinosaur.
Yeah. But not as cute. So apparently he was defeated in the Battle of Bosworth, which was in 1485. The fall is his defeat. Humpty Dumpty's fall is his defeat. And all the king's horses and all of the king's men couldn't put the humpback king together.
The humpback king?
Yeah, I just made that up. You know what?
Fuck these guys. Oh, okay. All right. I was going to say. I was like,
that was written by me.
This guy dies in battle, and you make fun of his humpback? Okay. Mean girls.
Yeah. I don't know if I want my legend to be.
No. How rude.
Have you ever dated a guy with a humpback?
I don't think so.
I have. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't good.
Did he also have scoliosis?
I don't know. He probably had a lot of problems, honestly. Anyway, the things you do. But there's also another theory that Humpty was actually a cannon that was used during the English Civil War, which I didn't even know there was an English Civil War. But the cannon was brought to the top of a tower, and apparently it went off and it fell.
Oh no. How
And so
embarrassing.
Humpty had to fall.
Also, that's very American of us to think that we are the only ones that have ever had a civil war. Because I also did not know that.
I didn't say that.
All right. All right. Well, I'm saying that.
So that's the story of my life. Sorry, I'm trying to move this back so you can't see my humpback.
Oh my God. I've known you for years. I've never noticed a humpback. I think you just had mean friends.
Probably.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite nursery rhyme?
I think honestly, Ring Around the Rosie was my favorite because that's the one that we actually did all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I liked Hickory Dickory Dock and The Crooked Man. Or there was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many kids, she didn't know what to do.
Yes.
Poor lady.
Yeah, I know.
Or Jack Sprat could eat no fat. His wife could eat no lean. Do you remember that one?
No, I don't remember that one.
Really?
No.
I like that one. I thought it was funny.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on this journey with us.
Yeah.
It's
been a long day.
I need to take my slug brain and go to bed.
Yeah. I feel much less angry now. It might be the 2 glasses of wine that I just had.
Probably. So anyway, thank you for listening, all 3 of you.
Hi, Mom.
So you can follow us on Instagram at livelaughLore_pod.
Yeah. And then if you have any of your own fun mythological stories or any topics you'd like us to discuss on the show, we'd love to do kind of like a listeners episode at some point. So if you guys have any fun stories of your own to share of like folklore that you grew up with, we'd love to hear it. And so if you have any of that, feel free to email us at podcast.livelaughlore@gmail.com.
Yep. And these will be linked in our Instagram.
Yes.
But if you guys could, if you like it, if you could rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, that'd be great. Be real helpful. If you don't like it, just don't listen.
This is a voluntary experience. Nobody's making you do this. So if you don't like it, don't review. Stop listening. This is really a you problem. It's not an us problem. If you're still listening and you don't like it.
Yeah, if you're this far in,
I will find you.
You're glutton for punishment.
Don't do it.
Yeah. So anyway, again, this is Live Laugh Lore. I'm Caroline.
I'm Emily.
She's Emily. Say goodbye.
Okay.
All right. That was fun.
That was fun.